Hello, welcome back to Crystal Clear Coaching with your host, Crystal Tottenham. That's me. I mentioned yesterday that I wanted to share a little bit about family systems, which is one of the modalities I'm trained in. So this is going to be a slightly different little session. I'm just gonna, hopefully you'll still see me being videoed whilst I use an app on my phone. So what I want to feel into, so it's actually quite a lot to cover when it comes to family systems, but there is one particular point that I want to just talk about today. We'll just keep it short and to the point, but family systems and family constellations is work that was created by Bert Hellinger, and it's about the dynamics of our family system, whether that's family, blood family, or family of origin. It all counts, whether there's adoption involved or not, whether it's it's whoever, anyone that is in a deep emotional close space in your family system, even if they're not blood, still counts, if they've been a formative part of your family dynamics, within reason. So whatever feels true to you is probably what will be true for you. Only you've had your lived experience. So a big thing within family dynamics is when we're born, when we're babies, we cannot survive without staying in love and belonging with our guardians, usually our parents, our mum or dad, but maybe there's other family involved or other people involved, and staying in love and belonging with them it's like it's getting, babies cry because they want attention, they need attention in order to be fed, get their needs met, get their bum wiped, like all the things. So they need, when they don't feel that love, that's when they find a way to cry for attention, to try and receive that love, and thus this creates a dynamic that there are ways learned as we get older, ways of being around the family that feels to our system like we need to show up as, otherwise we will not stay in love and belonging with that family system, even as we grow older and more capable of doing things for ourselves. So that's where this topic I want to talk about comes in. So suffering obligations of love. So we basically create these, usually completely subconscious, but contracts, sometimes, not always, but basically within the family system, that we do XYZ this way, or we don't do XYZ because that's not cool in the system, and thus family members will take away their love and your belonging, essentially, if you go outside of that suffering contract of love, suffering obligation of love. So another part is when you are the younger one, you are considered in the family systems world. This is the only time I'd belittle not belittle, but make someone littler than another. I mean, as a coach, I'm very much all about empowering, but in family systems, just it is really important that we are little to our big, thus our older ancestors, our parents, even our older brothers and sisters, our grandparents, our great grandparents, so on and so forth. And the dynamics of a family is that the little one is supposed to receive and the big one's supposed to give. And look, hey, I know it's not all that black and white, and there's times where your mum needs help, or your dad needs help, or your grandma needs help. But it's very important to notice when the dynamics feel really off in an ongoing way, and just notice, are we trying to be the big one? Are we trying to take control of the situation, and when it's actually not our place to? And the best example that they use in family systems of this is, imagine a 3-year-old, a toddler, say, during a fire, comes up to their parents and says, "Hey guys, look, I've just got my fire hose here and I've got my gear on. I'm gonna go and put out this fire now. You guys don't worry about it. I've got this." How's that gonna come across to the parents, the elders there? I would like to think most parents, most elders would think, well, that's cute, but actually us adults have got to deal with this and it's our responsibility. And I mean, if there wasn't a raging fire going on, if it was more of a chill situation where the toddler's trying to take charge, they might just have a good giggle at how cute that was. Because it's just completely unexpected, and it's not the dynamic that is needed. So yeah, really important for us to notice if we're trying to be the big one, or notice if one of your big ones, your elders, is trying to be the little one. That's also not a great dynamic. So and take this all with a grain of salt too, like whatever, nobody's perfect, nothing's perfect, but yeah. So when we get entangled by trying to carry the pain for the big ones in our system, it creates these suffering obligations of love or suffering contracts of love. Examples might be, let me help you fix it. Okay, let me take it on for you. This is the hero's badge. It's very seductive. I feel like this one might hit more of, the oldest in the family if there's siblings. Yeah. Another example is remember the family. I will live like you, so you are remembered. So that's kind of taking on the baggage of an elder, whether it's mum, dad, auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, somewhere in the family system, just living like them, so that you're honouring how they live their life. And I mean, I feel like that one can happen when there's maybe been circumstances that have that person not be able to live fully the way that they want to, but also like maybe it's their own excuses that have stopped them from doing so. But in order to stay in love and belonging with them, we're assimilating to their path, otherwise we'll be cut down to size. There's actually a term in New Zealand, I think it's used in Australia too, because the Australian New Zealand Army Corps, ANZAC, from, oh my gosh, I should know this. I always get confused I think it's the Second World War. but maybe it was the first, actually. You know what? It's the first. It's definitely the First World War. It's been over 100 years. So, yeah, sorry for any war buffs or anyone that actually has good knowledge of that. But yeah, the First World War, and the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, ANZAC, there's, when the war ended, in Gallipoli, there was poppies, lots and lots of red poppies, and when a poppy is taller than the others, it, gets cut down to size. I'm explaining this terribly. The point is, there's a term in New Zealand, and I think maybe used in Australia, that, if somebody's getting too high, getting too ambitious, getting too big for their britches, we tend to cut each other down to size. And I don't love that about my culture. And I'm actively trying to, oppose that, essentially, and share that we should, support each other and to go think big and go big, without becoming too audacious or big for our britches. So yeah, there is, I just feel like that one, really comes up with family systems, because we have, if we to go outside of these suffering obligations of love, these suffering contracts, we'll be seen as thinking, who do we think we are, and how dare we, not always, but we can be seen that way. But also, even if we're not seen that way and it's all in our head, well, our head and our body is where we live. So if it's living in our head and it feels like our lens of our perception of how we would be perceived if we were to step outside of these suffering contracts, well, that's actually all that matters for within ourselves, in our lives, in our mind, our bodies, our energetics. So it is, you can only do the work for yourself. You can notice if the way it's showing up for you is not serving you, and you can be bold and actively go and see what the truth is and try and do the thing and just see what happens. And there's some really great change work tools and family systems that help us kind of feel out what's going on and what feels permissible and not permissible to staying in love and belonging with the dynamics of your family, with your mum, with your dad, with your brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, whoever feels important to you. Back to our examples. So another example is belonging to the family. If you didn't have it, I won't have it either. So it's like if your mum was poor and struggling to get things, make ends meet frequently, well, you might, if you started earning a bit much money, you might feel really uncomfortable. That might feel really unsafe to your system, and so, you just, you self-sabotage, It's so insidious. It's beautiful, though. All these subconscious patterns that we've created, as much as sometimes we self-sabotage ourselves so bad, it's all coming from a place of love. This part of you that loves you so much that it wants you to survive and, stay in love and belonging. And that's a beautiful thing. So we can't be too hard on that part of ourselves that's had us survive until now, but we can choose to perceive things differently. We can choose to do the work to look at what's actually going on for us and take different action while it's uncomfortable enough times that it becomes permissible to our systems. So yeah. Another example is being faithful and loyal. So if it wasn't good for you, it won't be good for me either, or perhaps anyone. So whether that's loyal to I don't know, like a religion or a cause, or maybe, you know, it's, for instance, like when there's parents that are doctors and they want their kids to become doctors, and like the kid maybe never questions that they get a choice in the situation, or they do once they've already gone through medical school, or they're halfway through medical school, or whatever. Yeah, like, so that's more like flipping it the other way. Like, if it is good for you, then it'll be good for me too. You see how you can flip it. But like, it could be that just the way they show up in relationships, they loyally do it, prove, you know, maybe it's a mother and her daughter, and, you know, the father's never really been around, and the daughter takes on that like an air of loyalty to say, well, if men haven't treated you well, then then they won't treat me well, and like then finds evidence to affirm that, basically. Maybe not the best example. It's an example. I'm just giving you guys an idea today anyway. So, remembering means to re-include. So if anyone in the family is excluded, later ones will try to re-include them. So they do so by saying, I will live like you so you're remembered. Belonging is most important to the family soul. If someone up there in the family lineage did not have it, I won't have it either, as an example. So this is touching more on like family constellations work, which is when we get ideally a relatively large group of people together that are willing to hold space for one person and their family system, and we get them to pick different people from that beautiful space holding circle to represent them, so they can be an observer rather than be in it, and then represent, you know, mum, dad, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, grandparents, whoever feels important that there is something to be healed. And there might be perpetrators of certain actions that have been perpetrated generation after generation. They need to be healed. So family constellations is an energetics kind of process that we pull together with lots of people. Like, so I've done one with about 18 people before, and I've done another one with about 100 people, and they were both different facilitators, so slightly different vibes, but yeah, it feels into the fields of energy and what is and around that family system, the dynamics as well, and it does get a bit more woo-woo, but I love it. I think it's such profound work, and to think that they could heal an entire family line without potentially any of the other family members ever knowing. They just might feel this profound shift suddenly. So yeah, very cool. So yeah, like, for instance, if you imagine a family table that is vast with people, with all generations, all of them are served food, but some servers do not put the food out. But some servers put food out for you, yet nobody's eating, and no one else can eat. How uncomfortable would it be for you to choose to eat? So this is how it feels for generations coming later, to act in a different way, to try and take, something first there. This is a hit for the little one who has what somebody else in the family does not. So the little ones try to cover for their parents or ancestors, and they do so by saying, "Dear Mum, if you are crazy and neglectful, I will make sure you are not wrong. I will normalize it. I will replicate it myself and attract the energy that is safe to be, that is the same to be safe in the family." So yeah, that's touching a little bit on family constellations, family systems, family dynamics. I feel like I ended up reading more of constellations than I did from family systems. I will just touch on this. I know I said it was going to be quick and I clearly am wrong. Anyway, so there's some Hellinger's family rules. There are 3 unsaid rules operating in every family system. So family rules are rules that are unspoken, that are put into place by either mum or dad or both. So rule number 1, no one in this family will have a better experience of life than I have had or I'm having. Rule number 2, no one in this family is going to have a better experience of themselves than I have of me. For the big one. So number 3 is no one in this family is going to have a better experience of me than I have of me. So the healthier the family, the weaker the rules are. In a not so healthy family, these rules can be nearly explicit. In seriously ill families, these rules are enforced openly. So in addition to these standard human rules, there may be more specific variations on these themes that are unique to a particular family, but function nearly in the same way as the above rules. So as a real life example, you can love only one person at a time is such a rule. And then there's a little spot here. So on guilt and innocence. So children are compelled by both love and fear to belong with and honour their parents and their families of origin up to 7 generations. This obligation to honour and belong with one's family is enforced neurologically through the brain. So it is not dependent or subject to any kind of rational override. When we do the behaviour that allows us to belong, we feel innocent. When we do the behaviour that violates belonging, we feel guilty. So there are no exceptions to this. When a child cannot heal the family, the child takes on the family's pain in order to help heal them, honour them, and be one of them. All human beings become caught in this entanglement of multiple, overlapping, conflicting obligations of belonging. I know this is very wordy, so maybe listen again if you're struggling. But this next sentence really helps as a good example. So, in a family of thieves, the child who will not steal has a guilty conscience. You see that? So that was a quote from Bert Hellinger in 1998. So if you use the experience of guilt or innocence as your moral compass, you will live a life that confirms all the beliefs of the family system that you were born into. Just a moment. Yeah. Okay. I think that's given you an idea. So, it's fascinating work, and there's even actually one of the great tools that I like to bring up is called family bleachers, where just you picture bleachers in like an American football or high school kind of stadium, and basically you just pull up your ancestors into those bleachers and you follow up those bleachers, and that's only going to go so far because we have a ton of ancestors. If we're just going directly like mum, dad, and then their mum and dads, and then their mum and dad's mum and dads, and then it's already getting becoming more and more people, so many people very quickly, just a few generations back. But for instance, recently I looked up what's 500 years of family ancestry, roughly how many people are going to be in there, and it's something crazy like 32,000 or just wild. So we have a lot of ancestors that had to meet and procreate in order for us to be here, so we are miracles. I just feel like family beaches is a beautiful way to kind of visualize that to a degree, but also see who in those we kind of feel into in the energetics, like what is like who is in the family system that might have something that needs to be looked at for the family system to heal, you know, and that's a beautiful thing. I wish healing for all. But yeah, fascinating subject, family systems, constellations, family dynamics. I do think I haven't read like any research on this. My gut tells me that that there are levels of this kind of family dynamics which would also like relate to, you know, in a work environment with a hierarchy, in a community environment. Like it makes sense. It's anywhere you try and stay in love and belonging for, you know, whatever reason that feels right and needed for your system. So yeah, I think like it is just human dynamics really. And oh man, dynamics, if they're off they can be wild, and if they're on they can be a good time. So anyway, don't know where that came from. Again, I'm here and it's late, and I'm gonna call it there. But maybe I'll talk more about family constellations soon, and I'll see you tomorrow.